All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Elijah Enoch. I'll be taking you on the basics of Excel, Microsoft Excel to be precise. And here I have with me just the basic contents you need to start up. We know the target is for you to be able to carry out data analysis. However, you need to have basic knowledge of Excel. From the responses I got from you, I found out that a lot of you have very little knowledge about Excel. So joining the Dash and Tell Bootcamp is going to be a bit tasky. So Favor reached out to me, and I'm doing this so you can all get along. We can carry everyone along. All right. I said earlier, my name is Elijah Enoch, and I've been working with Excel. So you are sure to learn a few things or a lot depending on your stage, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or whichever level you find yourself. You can also find this recording helpful. Okay. So I have been working with Excel, right? 2013, 2016, 2019, and currently I'm using the Microsoft 365. Well, the reason I had to mention the 4 versions is this. You may find out that while I'm working on the Excel here, you will find out there's a little difference between my interface and yours. Don't worry about that. I will share with you on how you can, be aligned in tune with what I'm doing so you don't get lost at any point in time. Okay, so I wouldn't want to waste any more time. I'm going to briefly show you what we'll be handling today. And these things we're going to handle today is based on your responses. So I'm going to send my regards to Favor because Favor is going to take you on the data analysis parts. So I'm going to just take you on the basics. So shout out to Favor for this opportunity. All right. Thank you, Favor. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. So I will continue with the contents. Okay. So the first thing I want you to understand about these basics is this. We're going to talk about what Excel is. We're going to see the different versions and then a few shortcuts. For you to be very good with office tools, you need to know a few shortcuts, okay? And then we'll know what cell referencing is. We will talk about the basic formulas you're going to use when working with Excel. And then we're going to talk about referencing, the absolute referencing and relative referencing. And then there's something we call order of operations, right? Let's say you have a situation where you need to carry out a small calculation, let's say 2 plus 5 minus 7 times 6, okay? 2 plus 5 times 7 minus 6. Now, Excel will not just start 2 plus 5 and then continue like that. There's what we call order of operations. Now, Excel will now check between multiplication and addition, which one comes first? So that's the order of operation. And then we'll talk about the Excel functions. There are many functions, inbuilt functions in Excel that you'll be able to use to make your work more efficient. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. What is Excel? We know Excel to be, to accompany almost every laptops or every personal computers, right? Sometimes even phones now have Microsoft Excel. But what is Excel? We know it as a powerful spreadsheet program for organizing, analyzing, calculating, and visualizing data, right? Now, you'll be asking, okay, what do you mean by program? What do you mean by organizing, analyzing, and all that? So what we mean by program is just, if you go to an event, there is a program, you need to follow it up, what we are going to do at 8 a.m., what we are going to do at 8:05, what we are going to do at 9, like that. So that's a program. Now, this program is designed to help us to organize our data. Everything comes down to data. And data is not just what you have access to the internet. No, the file you're using, when I talk about file, I mean the videos, the songs in your phone, the texts, right? They are all form of data. So data could be pictures, it could be text, it could be numbers, it could be just anything you can use to, your everyday life, right? That's data. Okay. So there are situations where you need to organize your data. For instance, you are in charge of, maybe you are the lecturer or a teacher, and you have lots of students. You need to arrange your students' names, their email addresses, their parents' phone numbers in an organized manner. If not, okay, what if you want to talk to student A? You find out you don't have the accurate data of that student. So you are you'll be lagging. But if you have Excel, you'll be able to arrange your students' data accordingly, right? So we use Excel for many other things like budgeting, financial analysis, data tracking, reporting, data visualization, and so many more, okay? So you can choose what you want to use Excel for. The options there are limitless, okay? So from now I can say, okay, we've understood what Excel is all about. So we're going to see the different versions comparison. Now, there's the 2013. I don't want to go to 2010 because 2010 is a bit backward. So, but if you're using 2013, 2016, 2019, or Microsoft 365, right, you'll be able to follow along easily because they don't have much differences like in the interface, because it comes down to the interface where you're supposed to look for a particular option. It's on the left-hand side while this one is on the right-hand side, so you get confused. We don't want that. So I will recommend you use any of this 2013, 2016, 2019, and Microsoft 365. Okay? These are they don't have much differences. It's just a little on top of the other. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the common Excel shortcuts. Like I mentioned earlier, for you to be efficient in what you're doing, maybe your office work or just general administrative work, you need to know one or two shortcuts. So I'm going to demonstrate how we're going to use all these shortcuts. Right now, you're currently on my browser because I'm using the 365. So this is a list. I'll make sure you get the list too. The first one we're going to work on is, let me show you the slide again so you have a picture of what you are doing. So it's the arrow keys, right? Sorry, let me show you. The arrow keys, if you look at the bottom right corner of your keyboard, you're going to see 4 arrows, one pointing up, down, left, and right. Okay, those are the arrow keys. At any point in time, you press any of them, they move either one cell up, that's if you press the arrow key up, one cell down, if you press the one down, left or right. So this is what I'm talking about, arrow keys. Okay, now the enter key, sometimes you will not see enter on it. Okay, you may not see enter. What you end up seeing is just an arrow from up pointing downwards, okay? That's the enter key. An arrow, like it's coming from the top, pointing downwards towards your left. That's the enter key. Now, the enter key will help you to move down to the next cell, okay? Move down to the next cell or you move right. Then there's what we call the tab key. It's usually on the top left-hand corner of your keyboard. Yes, you'll see tab, or you see arrows, two arrows going separate ways. Okay, that's the tab key. It's very important. Okay. The next one is control home will take you to the first cell. Now you've been hearing me talk about cell and cell and cell. Let me show you. When we're talking about cell, this is a typical Excel interface. This is a Google Sheets, so don't worry, I'll still go back to the Microsoft 365. This is Google Sheet. It's a bit different. I'm talking about the interface. It's a bit different, but this is what I want you to see. Now, when we're talking about cell, every single box here is a cell. Every single one you can see here is a cell. Whether it has something or not, it's a cell. Right? Just imagine like a prison, housing people. A prison can be empty, can contain people, so a cell. But this is not prison. Okay, so that's that about cell, right? So when we are working with Excel, you will make use of cell a lot, okay? Now, Control plus Home will take you to the first cell. If you notice, from the first cell I mentioned, this very one, right? If you look at the top, we know this is the top here, we call them the columns, right? Right, column like this, vertically, top, down, column, left, right, row. So if we're trying to target this very cell here, the name of the cell is not going to be name, right? But it's going to be B1. Okay, let's try this one. This cell here is going to be F1, right? This is column F, and then the first cell there under column F is 1. You can see these are the rows. They are much. I can actually take you to the last part of it. So for Google Sheet, it stopped at 1001, but Microsoft Excel, there are much, tens of thousands of rows, okay? So let me take it back. I'm also using the shortcuts from the ones I displayed earlier, okay? I press Control down. It will take me to the last cell, which is this one. If I press Control Home, it will take me to the first cell, which is A1. I believe you've gotten that part. So all these are cells, but how do you identify which from this? That's why we have the columns and the rows, okay? So let me go back to the PowerPoint. Now, you're going to have access to this, I believe. Yeah, you should. So from the shortcut here, I believe some of you are familiar with Control-C, Control-X, Control-V, Z. You're familiar with this, okay? I just put more emphasis on this because they are good as well, okay? So the next thing is the cell referencing I mentioned, okay? Cell referencing meaning, okay, if you want to pick an item, let's say you have number 2. Let's go back to our sheet. Let's say you're looking for a staff member whose name is Jeremiah James. And what you're interested in is the Jeremiah James salary. You want to know how much is his salary. Now, for you to know which cell holds the salary of Jeremiah James, you need to understand what cell referencing means. Okay, now you are on Jeremiah James, and the next cell is for salary, right? If you click on it, you'll be able to go to the left, a bit top corner. You should see the name of the cell, right? So if you're going to use this, maybe in your calculation, maybe the person went for an extra shift and he needed, he's entitled to some bonuses. You're not going to type 5.6 plus the bonus, okay? What you're going to type is C15, because C15, that's C, column C, and then row 15, okay? That's, you have referenced the salary of Jeremiah James. C15, okay? That's, we have it here. So you always call the column before the row. The columns are the A, B, C, D, okay? While the rows, they have numbers, right? So they are good for cell referencing. All right, so let's go back to the slide because I want us to focus on the slide. Now, we have what we call active cell. We have range, and then I'll show you how you can use to know which one is active and to get a range of slides, okay? Now, going back to our Excel sheets, any cell you click on, right, that is your active cell. Any cell you click on, that is your active cell. Now, this very one is F and 9. So we have F9 here. So that is our active cell. Now, let's say we're talking about range. Range could be, let's say I want the first 10 staff information. I can just come up here, then use my shift. I press and hold down the shift key and my arrow key to the right. It will grab everything for me, and I will still hold on to the shift key and then press arrow key down, and it will grab a set of cells for me. Now, what I have now is a range of cell from, this is no longer A1, but A2. So my range starts from A2 to C11. See it represented here. This colon in between means you're starting from the first, which is A2, to C11. Where is C11? This is C11. Okay, so I'm working with, let's say these are the number of staff members that I want to get their information. I'll start from here and I'll end here. So if you decide to type D14 to, let's say, H19, it will simply grab from here, right, to 19. Grab from here to 19. Right? So this is A15 to C20. I purposely did this so that if you're paying attention, I said what? A14 to 19, but what you are saying is A15 to C20. Good. If you notice from 1, these are the rows. Okay, don't confuse them with the ones you generated yourself. I generated this myself, okay? But these are the rows. So irrespective of whether your counting starts at 3 or 4, the row will never change, okay? Your data position may change, but the rows will never change. So take note of this, it's very important. All right, so let's go back to our slide. The next thing we'll talk about, which I know a lot of you are waiting for, is functions and formulas. Now, when we're talking about functions and formulas, just like when we're in school, I will be asked to calculate the simple interest of anything per se. A man was given 2,000 naira at the interest rate of 5% to use it for 1 year, and then this and that. So you have a formula such as interest equals to P times R times T over whatever it is. That's the formula to calculate simple interest, right? Or is it Pythagoras theorem where you have A squared equals to B squared plus C squared and all that? Those are formulas to calculate a particular thing. Now, Excel has lots of formulas built into them, okay? Now, it's left for you to use them to make your work faster. The basic ones we have are the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponentiation. This is raised to the power. You said 2 times 10 raised to power 2. This is it. Okay? The caret here represents our exponential. Then our division is the forward slash. Okay? It's a bit different from how you write it in your notebook. Then we have the multiplication, which is the asterisk. Okay? Is on key 8. Right? Shift and 8 will give you the asterisk. While the caret, Shift and 6 on your keyboard will give you the caret. Okay? Now, we have examples here. Let's say we want to add a value in A1 and B1. This is what it means. Let's go back to our Excel. I mentioned A1, B1. Now, A1 is supposed to be here, and B1 is supposed to be here. But because we've used the A1 and B1 as our heading, we have to go one step downward. Okay? So we're going to use our A2, right? B2 does not have numbers, so maybe we'll now use C2. So this is what it means. If you want to add A2 and C2, this is what it means. Every time you want to use a formula or anything, it must start with the equality sign. Can you see? Once you press the equality sign, you are telling Excel that, oh, this thing I'm about to type, don't take it as a text. I want to calculate something. Okay? So let me type the A2. It doesn't matter whether it's uppercase or lowercase, Excel will understand. Then you go to your plus. Your plus is shift and where you have equality sign. And then your C2. Now, once you have this, you type, okay, this is what you want to use. You simply press the enter. You remember the enter key? The one that has an arrow from top towards your left-hand side. From the top towards your left-hand side. So you press it once. And it will calculate it for you. Okay? So it will add A2, which is 1, and C2, which is 1.7. So 1.7 plus 1 is 2.7. So it's correct. Okay? So you will try out others. You try out something like this, like this, like this. Now, a cell, if you reference a cell that does not have number, I want to carry out arithmetic or any sort of calculation, it will return an error because Excel works with numbers for calculations, okay? So you should be careful not to reference a cell that does not have a number, all right? So we have examples here and a little exercise for you here that you can work with. Next, we'll be talking about relative and absolute referencing. It's very important. Now, by default, what we mean by default is like typically, let's say follow come. That's the fastest way to put it, follow come. Now, we hear a lot of things like follow come charger, follow come battery, things like that. Now, what it means is that battery and charger came with the phone as it is, right? Just like that, no change. But you can choose to change it if you wish to, all right? The same thing with default here. It means this come with Excel, right? They come with Excel. So they change when a formula is copied to other cells. I'll show you, don't worry. If A1 plus B1 is copied down one row, it becomes A2 plus B2. All right. So let me show you about relative reference. Let's go back to our Excel sheet. So we decided to add A2 plus C2, right? And then it gave us 2.7. Okay. So what if I want to use the same formula for the second staff member? So if I want to use this, since I have the formula here, you see this guy right here, right? Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention something. You see this mouse cursor? Once it's showing you this pointing arrow, like, arrow, about to shoot somebody, right? It means it's just trying to guide you, okay? If you bring it to where there's a box, it will change to like an eye. Let's try it. Can you see? It changes to an eye. If you take it to where that will take you somewhere like a button. It will change to this hand icon, right? And if you hover properly, you're going to see, if I bring it in between columns, it will show me an arrow going their separate ways with a breach in between them. It means I can expand the size of the width of this cell. Of the cells, right? So you need to pay attention to the icon your mouse cursor displays, okay? So I have this formula here that I use to get A2 plus C2. Now, if I want to apply the same formula without having to type again, all I have to do is to bring my mouse cursor here. Once it shows me this plus, I will drag it down, right? So you see, you have 4. That is because of relative referencing. So it will reference the formula ahead of it and then automatically change the cell referencing. Now, if you click on this first one, what you should see is A2 plus C2. But if you click on the second one, what you should see is what? A3 plus C3. But you didn't type that, right? Is it magic? It's not. So it's because of relative referencing, okay? Now I can do the same for all of this, for all. Can you see? if I just double tap or drag, let's say I want to drag it to maybe row number 17. Can you see? So it will reference the formula that is relative to it and then generate. And all these, they have different cell references. Can you see? This is A17 plus C17. Let me take it again. If you want to make sure you see this plus icon, you either double tap or you drag it down. Okay, these are the two methods. Now we have what we call the absolute. The absolute means I don't want you to change a particular cell, right? I only want the others, but this particular cell, don't change the value. Let's go back to the Excel. I will show you a bit around it. Let me move this way. Okay, so look at this. Yes, all of a sudden you're seeing some sort of dollar sign. It's not money, sure. But okay, it's not money. So we have $A and $1, right? $A, $1. It means the cell must not, the value must not change. Okay? Practical is better. Let's go back to Excel. So let's say this particular one, okay, let me leave this. Let me try again with this. Let me type A2, see, plus what? C2. If you enter, nothing will happen. Can you see? What do you think I did wrong here? Why is it not giving me my answer now? The only thing you needed to do was to make sure there's an equality sign in front. Can you see? It even recognizes it that it's a formula. So you press enter and then you will have your answer. So you can see it's even suggesting, do you want to autofill? No, we don't want to autofill yet. So let's cancel. Now, what I want to do is talk about absolute referencing. Now, we have cell A2, right? We don't want the value of A2 to change, but maybe C2 can change. Okay? This is what we're going to do. We're going to put the dollar sign in front of A and another dollar sign in front of 2. Okay? So what this means is the cell A2, the value must not change. Then you press enter. Right? If you decide to reference this, you see you're getting 3, and here you're getting 3.3, 3.6, 3.9, 4.2, 4.5, 4.8. Why? Because this particular A2 remains the same, while this one continuously change. So let me show you. For this, you have A2, $A, $2 plus C3, right? If you go to the first one, the next one, sorry, you're going to see $A, $2 plus C4, like that. So it's absolute. The values here, we don't want them to change. That's what it means. While this one should change. So that's the idea of absolute referencing. So there are a few things you can work with here to help you, right? One thing about Excel, you need to practice, right? If you don't practice, it will just forget you. It will forget you. You will not forget it. It will forget you. Okay? So that's just it. There are instances where you just need to reference the A. You don't need to reference the 1. That means you are referencing you are telling Excel to make sure the columns, the values on the column are absolutes. But the rows can change. We'll get to that. Okay? There's going to be another recording for you to see all those things in action. But let's stick to the basics for now, right? When we get to that point, we'll use it. We'll use that very well, okay? So the next thing we're going to be talking about is order of operation. Okay, I've mentioned this. Then we're going to talk about functions. I know that's where most of you are waiting to, get to. So functions are very important, right? Imagine you have hundreds of people, not 100, not 100, hundreds of people you need to calculate how much you're supposed to pay them, maybe at the end of a particular job you assign them to do, right? Hundreds of them. And then there's a percentage you're going to use, right? With the functions, inbuilt functions in Excel, with just 2-3 clicks, you are done. You don't have to stress yourself like, oh, am I sure this one I did not make any mistake with? No. You don't need to. The functions will help you to do that, okay? Now, the basic functions we have that all of us should be familiar with is the sum function, right? Sum function. Let's go back to Excel and then we will see it properly. Now, let's say you have this particular setup. Let me copy this, get a range of values from here. Maybe these are the people you are working with, very small number. Paste them here. Okay. So these are the people I'm working with. I just want a subset of the total list. Heading, so you'll get a better guide. Okay. So let me reduce this. It will not be too big. Good. So and this one too, it's too white. And then we can just centralize everything. Okay. And then this one is 2. Okay. Now, you see me adjusting the table, right? You can do that easily. Yeah, you can do it all at once. Right, you can write a short code if you're using Excel, and then as you are typing, it keeps expanding and adjusting to your contents, okay? So let's say we want to know how much is the total salaries of these people. You can come to the last portion here, the empty cell, and just type equal to, can you see it's even suggesting? That's one thing about Google Sheet. It will just suggest, is this what you want to do? If it is, you just press the tab key. You remember that tab key I mentioned? Those 2 arrows going their separate ways, right? If you don't see tab on it, 2 arrows going their separate ways. So if you press the tab key, it will just sum up everything. Can you see how fast it is? You don't need to crack your brain. It will just show you, okay? As simple as that. So what happened is this. You type equal to sum, your open bracket, which is the parenthesis, and then it starts from where? K. Remember your self-referencing. K what? K2, because this is row 2. K2 to what? K15. This is where we want to target. So once you have a formula like this, let me say this, very important, so that you don't shoot yourself in the leg. If your mouse cursor is blinking in here, and you don't want to change anything, the only thing you want is the answer. Please Don't press any other cell. Don't press cell, especially the ones with numbers or data. What will happen is this. Once you press any cell, it will kind of add them, specifically for Microsoft Excel. So it will end up adding another extra cell. It will reference another cell and it's going to scatter your results. So once your cursor is blinking, your mouse cursor is blinking, all you should do is press the enter key. Tell Excel, no, I'm done with the formula. Is the answer I'm interested in. Because while it is blinking in here and you press any cell, it's going to get added. I'm using Google Sheet, that's why it's smart to know that, okay, that's not what I wanted to do. All right. So this is it. Okay. So that's that about sum. Anywhere you want to calculate sum is just to add. You are saying Excel, pack the data from K2 to K15, add them for me, and then enter. It will add. Okay. So that's. And finally, we'll be talking about some inbuilt functions of Excel. Basic. We've talked about sum. We'll talk about the mean. Sorry. We'll talk about the mean, the max, the average, and count. So we'll quickly do that now. So for the sum, we've done that. For the mean, what it does is to get the minimum value. Let's say we want to, okay, now let me put this straight to you. If you want to explain the functions of Excel, you have to relate it to a real life scenario, right? Let's say we want to know in a class, the children have ages, right? Let's say in a class, maybe SS3 student, you may see a child of maybe 12 years in SS3. It's possible. You may see a child of 20 years in SS3. It's possible. Now, if you have the data of all the children in the class and you want to know the child, the youngest among them, I believe your head is going there now. Good. You use the mean function. The mean function will just get you, will go through the row and column that you have used. That is your range. It will go through everything and just bring out the value that's the least of them all. So you can now translate it as, oh, that is the youngest child in my class. For instance, this particular subset of this, I want to see this is how you interpret it now. I want to know the staff member with the lowest salary. I know you can say, okay, is here, is visible, but what if you have hundreds, thousands of data that you need to look through to see, right? So that's where this function comes into play. Well, I do not want to use sum, I want to use mean. So MIN, right? From there downwards, that's from K2 to K15. And anytime you see your cursor blinking, the only thing you need to do is to press the enter. So you can see it's showing us that this least salary being paid to any staff member is 2.9. I don't know whether it's 2.9 million or billion, but 2.9. Okay. So let's say we want the maximum, that's a staff member, the highest salary paid to any staff member. You just need to, okay, let's leave that one alone. Let's use more cells. Okay, so we'll start with our equality sign, remember, max. And then I'll open parentheses, okay? And then where do you want your range to start from? K2, your colon, and then where do you want it to stop? Let's say, what? K16. Is it K16? Yes, K16. Parenthesis and then press enter. So it means the highest salary being paid is 6.8 to any staff member, right? Then we have others. We have the average, we have the counts. So I'll talk about the average and counts, okay? Now for your average, this is max. This is average. Okay, so it's the same idea. My equality sign, type AV, and you should see from, you need to pay attention to your screen, okay? So you should see the average, select it. And then from where to where, let's maintain our K2 to K16, close. Let me slide this a bit so you see it. Right, so this is the average of salaries here. You know, average is you add everything and divide by the number of the occurrences, right? So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're going to add everything here. Let's do sum and then we divide by 14. That is what average will do. Okay, so the last one is count, right? We want to count how many rows do we have, because the count has to do with rows, not column, please. We want to count how many records. Rows are all called records because the rows will give you the complete record of any person at point in time. So this is count. The same idea, equal to count. If you don't want to type everything, you just look at. But if you are good with typing very fast, you can just type everything. Count, open brackets, where and where. K2 to K16. And then you enter it to count. So that means we have 15 records here. So let me try something with counts. Let me go over here. Equal to brackets. Let me select J2. J2. I just want to count, right? J2 to J16. And I press enter. I don't understand. Why is it giving me 0? Okay. Now it's giving you 0 because this count function only counts numbers. Whether it's decimal or whole number, it will just count. But anything other than numbers, it will not count. It will just return 0. It's just trying to tell you that I did not see any number to count. So that's exactly what it's saying. Let's try something else. I'm going to get these figures, right? To this point, let's go to P. I'll paste it here. And then I'm going to add, these are numbers, right? I'm going to add, let's say I have 14. 14A. I'll click outside. What do you notice? Is on the left-hand side, right? But when I type these numbers at first, okay, let me type another 14 here. It's on the right-hand side. So that's how Excel differentiates between text and numbers. Numbers are usually on the left hand side, on the right hand side, while text on the left hand side. Okay. So that's how Excel will tell you, okay, I'm working with numbers, I'm not working with text. Okay, so that's that. Pay attention to your cells. Okay. If you see any text, even if it's a number that is on the left-hand side, right, and you're trying to type in a formula and then it's giving you something you don't understand, check, is it on the right-hand side or the left-hand side? Because it's very important, okay? So that's about today's class, okay? So we'll continue with more functions in the next class. I promise we're going to use a lot of functions. Okay, this one is just to carry everyone along. So I hope you will get to practice, practice what we've done. Is not much, but practice, practice and practice. And you will be an Excel guru doing your data analysis and many other things, okay? So that's from me.